Mark, thank you so much for bringing me to your favourite bar. Lawless is in Dunshaughlin, County Dublin. Is it County Dublin?
No, it's County Meath.
There
You
you,
have to be careful. Yeah, you
you
get in trouble.
there you go. I'm in trouble straight out of the bat, but it's right on the border, right? It's not too far.
It's not far. Yeah, it's only 5 minutes away.
So
Yeah, so
listen, you're in the posh part. I'm in the bar.
you're in the bar and I'm in the lounge. Yeah, yeah,
So that tells me that you used to hang out with the bar, but there's too many scars in there, so you feel more comfortable in the lounge.
No, unless you're a regular, you won't get away with drinking in the bar. You have to, yeah, you have to be in there every weekend religiously.
And is this your local? And was your local, or is this
Yeah,
your?
this is my local. Yeah, only for the last probably 2.5 years. I'm a blow into Dunshaughlin, but I settled here now. So when I moved in, first of all, obviously during COVID, there was no bars, unfortunately. So I had to walk by the bar with the doors closed for long enough. And eventually I got in and I started to enjoy the creamy pints.
I'm just looking at the background there, and more so mine than yours. But I'll come back to you. I'll come back to yours in a minute. But it looks like the type of place that you could find a nice little high still there and watch a rugby, soccer, hurling, football, whatever
Yeah,
match, and
yeah,
nobody's going to bother you. Is that the type of place it is? It's
yeah, no,
good.
definitely. Yeah, there's your side there, you'll find a pool table and a dartboard that's always in use.
Oh,
And
I
then,
see.
yeah, you'll always have, there's plenty of televisions, you'll have any sporting event, horse racing's a popular one, or rugby, soccer, football, anything, yeah.
And with that accent, I'm thinking that you're more from the Midlands, North
Yeah,
Midlands.
yeah, I'm a Cavan man
Oh,
originally.
and
Yeah.
how did that go when you go to Meath? I know I've already goofed up and said Meath was in Dublin, but are they welcoming as a community?
Yeah, no, definitely. We're well represented, the Cavan people in Dunshaughlin and throughout Meath. There's always a bit of rivalry there, but
I
no,
know.
typically we're doing okay.
So it's a good bar. We're having a nice couple of non-alcoholic pints of Guinness the size of our heads, like yours. Look at that. I mean, you're in heaven.
It's creamy, isn't it?
It is, but I mean, you're going to have people watching this, all over the world, and they're going to be saying, that you can get a pint of Guinness in Ireland the size of your head, uh, and a bottle of Bulmers, of course. So you're flying the Irish flag very well today.
I am, yeah. No, the points in here are nice. Yeah.
So the door bursts open. Dead or alive, who would you love it to be to come up and have a chat with you?
Um, I think if I was to pick, if I was to go for a point now, I would probably enjoy a point now. Probably Roy Keane.
Right.
I'd enjoy Roy Keane's humor and his directness, and probably also maybe Elon Musk. I really enjoy Elon Musk as well. I think we would
Yeah.
have a good conversation.
Two very different characters.
Mm, yeah, yeah,
And looking at your age, I would say Roy Keane was in his absolute height of
yeah. Roy Keane. I remember him playing in the World Cup and then walking away. That would have been. I was a young guy back then.
So Roy Keane, I have very rarely heard people say his humor, but he was tough, uncompromising. But I think even as a player, you knew what you got.
Yeah. So I remember years ago when he was playing, I used to always enjoy his competitiveness and the way he carried himself on the pitch. And
Mm.
then obviously in recent years, and as a manager and as a pundit, how he says it and how he analyzes games. So yeah, he has a dry sense of humor, but I enjoy how he approaches the
You
situation.
could you could imagine though with his directness and stuff, any of the prima donnas that he might have had to deal with either as a manager or as a coach. We're not getting on that well. He's a tungsten tipped drill bit. There's no doubt about it. So you used to hear these little sound bites about when he was in Sunderland and even other places that players weren't getting on. I'd imagine he has a particular way. You played a bit of sport yourself. I mean, did you have managers in your day where they were straight up or what sort of managers did you deal with?
I played under some good managers. Peter Canavan was actually a club manager of ours a few years ago, and he was very admirable. But again, very very much a people person as well as a good technical coach. None of them quite as direct as Roy, but some really good coaches over the years. Yeah,
it's interesting, when I talk to sports people like yourself from the past, is it's changed a lot even in 20 years. The whole off the field type stuff and the preparing for changes. Injury must be a killer for someone like you guys, that you train for 6 months for a game and the week before you twinned your hamstring. How does that? How do players? How do you get over that?
Yeah, and it gets more difficult as you get older because you start getting knocks and picking up niggly injuries. So unless you're putting in the time to do your rehabilitation and your strength and conditioning, it becomes more and more difficult to keep up with the younger guys because it's very much a faster game nowadays.
Yeah, and of course, Gaelic football was your thing, and when you watch it, the evolution of it over the last 20 years, it's a different sport, a bit like rugby, isn't it? It's a totally different sport. So Roy Keane, okay, he's a good guy to have in a corner, and we're going to get philosophical, right? So you're there sitting with Roy, and you want to really impress him with your favorite quote. Have you got one?
My favorite quote, I'd say, would be hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
That's good. Yeah.
So there was an English teacher of mine when I was in secondary school, and he was also a GA coach.
Yeah.
From when I was a young guy. He passed away since, but he would have been a role model when I was younger, playing football and in my education. And he used to drill that in school and out of school. But it was always one that kind of hit home. No matter what your abilities are, it's something that when you work hard and apply yourself to it, that it'll always overpower.
I'm sure you saw it yourself. We spoke about Roy Keane and the likes of Brian O'Driscoll and these guys. They didn't make their under 14 selection teams, but the fellas who did probably thought they'd made it and they took their foot off the pedal. And these other lads who worked harder, that's ultimately what wins the day, is the teamwork. I mean, you're in a team now and work, and you take a lot from sports, don't you? You take a lot of the teamwork aspect. We all want to be the centre forward, but someone has to be, the left half back or whatever your sport is,
Yeah.
And you learn that, don't you, in a team sport early?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think playing team sports at a young age, definitely hold a lot of value. And I always believe there's a lot that you can transfer from your sporting career across into your working career.
It's like when you're pitching up for your projects. You win ones you thought you were going to lose, and you lose ones you thought you were going to win. Yeah. And once you're winning more than you're losing, then it's a successful season usually.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
How do you keep motivated? And obviously you're a young man, and it sounds like you moved house in the middle of COVID, which that's an interesting move. I take it you were well advanced. You didn't decide halfway through, this is a great year. I mean, how do you keep motivated? And
I would say, so first of all, COVID for me was, I would say it was a big struggle. I think it was March 2020, started working from home full time. And it was nice for the first month, maybe the first couple of weeks, but after that, I really started to struggle a little bit to try and stay motivated. And I suppose after the first couple of months, when things started to go back to normal, I started getting back into the office and meeting people. And for me, I always find that, dealing with people face to face, and we can do all these Zoom calls and Teams calls, but, having some physical interaction with people, makes it a lot easier. And for me, that was a big turning point. But I would say, for me, staying motivated and kind of throughout that period, I did I suppose consciously try and keep myself busy and do a lot. So I obviously moved house. I was in the process of building. I thought I'd be in well before COVID. So I was pregnant and I was having the baby, but I just needed to needed to keep the head down and keep going. But exactly like that, it was COVID obviously put it back, and I eventually got in. But there was a lot of things that happened kind of throughout that period, and I kind of find the more I kept myself busy, the more productive I was. So it all kind of helped.
You know, you're so right. There's an old saying: if you want to get something done, ask a busy person.
Yeah.
And it's really true that, and I was talking to a number of people over the last couple of weeks about COVID. It's like a trauma that we're only now okay to talk about, because we've worked sort of it out in our own heads how we were. And a lot of people actually liked aspects of it. And as you said there, behaviors were formed, some bad, some good. And a lot of people actually found out, am I an introvert? Am I an extrovert? You know, some people were saying, before I wasn't that keen on people in offices, and then I realized I had to have them.
Yeah. Just
the bullshit bingo, or the water cooler chats. That's all the stuff that feeds us full of information. Technical stuff can get very boring and I think that's the key thing about Zoom and stuff. A great tool, but quite sterile.
Yeah.
And you miss the banter, don't you? I won't mention football this weekend. It's a particularly difficult one for certain supporters. But, that banter, irrespective of the results, it's the crack, isn't it?
No, definitely. I think relationships are a really important part of anyone's career and everyone's working life. Yeah. I think whether it's through your colleagues or whether it's through clients or supply chain or anybody and everybody in the industry, I think building and forming relationships is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're missing out on whenever you're stuck behind your computer all day.
Absolutely. So it's been short and sharp. Thank you so much. We've only introduced you to the Host in Ireland gang over the last 2 or 3 weeks now. So welcome to Host in Ireland in official capacity.
Thank you.
Already I've seen more of you over the last 2 weeks than I've seen of my wife. So I'll see you again later in the week. So,
yeah, definitely.
I think that's to the point you're making. That's the way you roll. You use these tools that we're building, that you're building, that you're designing, that you're operating as a tool. And then we get out and meet people as much as we possibly can. So, Mark, thank you so much for your time. It's been interesting.
Thanks, Garry.
Who do we send the emails to when we get all the calls for people wanting a pint of Guinness the size of your head?
Yeah, you can send them to Jackie at Lawless's.
Jackie at Lawless's.
Yeah.
Thanks a million, Mark.
Take care, Garry. Bye-bye.
Thank you.